Don't you like breathing? Like it's so cool. Think about it. And you're taking just a smidget amount of air, very little, and then you transform your whole physiological and mental status, like just like that, in the snap of a finger. Everything changes. Well, for me, it does. You take a little bit of air, hold it, not for too long, like not trying to like you know imprison it or anything. Just keep it in there in your lung, in your system for a little bit, as if you're inviting him in for tea. And then when the process is over, when the tea was consumed, you let it out. Your eyes got sharper. You feel uplifted, and a lot of things have changed after you take a deep breath. Stress level lower, mood higher. I like it. I mean, I've been starting doing more yoga these days. I never did yoga. I do static stretching. I do a lot of dynamic stretching, especially on my leg. I wanna be able to do a split. So I've been trying to do a lot of splitting exercises these days. I'm still a long way to. There's still a long way to go for me to do like a split, either a vertical. Is this called a front split? Right. I can't do a front split. I can't do a side split. But right now, I'm trying to do the side split first. I heard it's easier, but once I've done that, I'll try to do the front split as well. But in addition to that, I'm doing yoga now as well. I started with it wasn't any kind of a particular. There is not so much of a particular reason to that. I just bought this yoga mat. I know you can't see it if you're not watching from YouTube, but I'm sitting on this floor mat. It's not even a yoga mat. I'm sitting on this floor mat that I bought. Oh, you can't see it even on YouTube. Okay, see that? Yeah, it's like a 2 by 2, 2 meter by 2 meter square shaped floor mat, black color. I put in the living room. I replaced the sofa and the coffee table with this. Now I have so much activity to do in the living room. Previously, like imagine having a sofa and a coffee bed, a coffee coffee bed. Imagine having a sofa and a coffee table. The activity you can do are limited, right? You either sit down, you eat, drink, hang out with people, and watch movie, watch TV, right? That's pretty much it. The whole area will be designated for certain activity. But now with a floor mat, there are like a lot of possibilities, right? You can lie on top of it, think about life on top of it, roll around, do stretching, um, a wide range of physical exercises. I do jumping jacks over it. I do crunches over it, and nowadays I do yoga on top of it. I saw it and I was like, why not doing yoga? It looks like a perfect yoga setting, so I went with it. And now I'm so ignorant at the moment. I'm very ignorant at the process of doing yoga. I don't have any experience with it, so I started with like very basic routines and poses. One thing that fascinates me, it's it's the simplest pose, like a the simplest looking pose are not really that simple in yoga. I started with the most simplest one, standing mountain pose or just mountain pose. I figure you stand straight up, legs together, and put your arm laterally up over your head and until your palm touch one another, and you hold it in place vertically, right? Seems simple, just standing, right? Arms up. Um, that's the interesting about it. it is simple, but at the same time, it's not. You know, there's a lot of micro muscle that are in place, that are in play during the movement, and I feel the engagement. I feel the movement of a lot of the muscle that I feel previously were underactivated. Because when you're doing weight training like I was, you're incorporating like big muscle group to make the movement. Because you're trying to carry heavy loads, either it's dumbbell or or any heavy objects, right? But yoga is different. You're like moving your body and you're holding it in place. A lot of big muscle group like the pecs and the lats and all that, like the big ones, and they're like, we don't need to be here. Like you just holding your arms up doesn't deserve me working out for it, you know? So they're not really putting in that much work, but instead the regional micro muscular composition of yours, they're putting in more work. They're doing a lot more. And that's fascinating. It's a really different physical feel. It's a different kind of physical feeling. It's a different sort of muscular activation. And I'm enjoying it. I really like it. I think I'm going to keep doing it. Not because all the things I just said are kind of like bullshit. I don't have any scientific evidence to back it up. I don't know if it's actually like the micromuscular composition of yours actually engaging more in the process. I don't know. It's probably not true, or I'm using the wrong vocabulary. But it feels that way to me, and I like it, especially the breathing part. During the holding of a pose, man, it's amazing. You're breathing and you feel the contraction of the muscle vibrating and rhythmizing with your movement, with your lung expanding and collapsing. It's very new age. So yeah, I'm gonna keep doing it. I'm starting to do a little bit more complicated posts now. I don't think it's complicated, but still the fundamental ones. But yeah, the cow pose, the cat pose. I'm doing the downward facing dog. Is that what it's called? Yeah. What is that? Warrior pose. Yeah, a lot of fascinating stuff. A lot of core engagement. A lot of like midsection torso engagement and activation. I really like it. Gotta be a yoga bro now. You know what? Today I don't have a particular topic to talk to you guys, but I just came on here because I feel like it's Monday. I want to turn it into a routine and not think about it. Just do it. You guys know this thing called the canceling culture? It's like if somebody says something, especially an entertainer like a singer or an actor, actress, if they say something controversial or something that is politically incorrect, they got canceled by networks, or they lose their contract or whatever. So they got cut off from a lot of opportunities, business opportunities, performing opportunity, and whatnot. And you know what? People have conflicting opinion on this matter, and I do as well. Previously, I was like, you probably shouldn't cancel somebody. You probably shouldn't just cut somebody loose and bury them in the dirt just because they say something wrong. I know sometimes they say very insensitive stuff. I have a problem with what they say as well, right? But my previous opinion was, we're all living creature. We're all learning from our mistakes. So maybe we should give them the opportunity to start over and learn from their mistake. Teach them a lesson, but don't put them into the dirt. Just let them do what they do, but with like a little disciplinary action to tell them, hey, maybe be more sensitive, maybe be more aware of what you say and this and that, right? And that was my previous stance on the matter. I think people shouldn't just easily get canceled. I think everybody deserve a second chance. And yeah. And yesterday I saw this one. I guess it's a news report. I was scrolling on YouTube and I saw this one video of a Chinese stand-up comedian performing, and it was I didn't really like it. I think it was too over the top. I didn't like the performance. But I was curious about the guy's look because he looked kind of foreign. I didn't know he was Chinese or not, but his Chinese was very, very native. I think even better than mine. And I got curious. I was like, who is this guy? Like he looked very, very foreign, not Chinese at least, but he speaks such good Chinese. What's the matter? So I went on and had a little Google search, and it turned out to be a ethnic minority in China from the New Territory of China, and he was, I think, 25 years old. He's 25 right now, so very, very young. Obviously considered one of the up-and-coming superstar of stand-up comedy. If you don't know, we have some indigenous format of stand-up comedy in China as well. It's called 相声. And it's very different. It's similar to stand-up comedy, but also different from what is commonly known in the Western world. Stand-up comedy in the Western world is more like a single person, like standing up in front of the mic, doing what he does or she does. But 相声, the Chinese indigenous format of comedy, verbal comedy, it's more like two guys, right? Two guys, and one feeding a joke to another one respond with a punch. So it's a separation of one man's job into two. Stand-up comedy is one person doing the setup and one person delivering the punchline. Setup, punchline, setup, punchline, setup, punchline. So everything is integrated into one person, and that person has ability to kind of, I guess, oscillate between two roles. One role is he's gotta do the setup, and boom, he's got to do the hit as well. His mind, his muscle, his everything. But in China, they kind of put that they dissect that role into two parts. One person do the setup, and he's normally the kind of not so funny one because he doesn't do the punchline. He's one who always throw out in Chinese we call it 包袱, and I think that means a package, and that's a setup. Feed the person with a setup, and the other person, the funny one, who is always throwing the punchlines, making a joke out of the setup, and yeah, that's how it works. Two person having a conversation. It's very natural. I like the setup because it's very natural. It's kind of like a conversation. I wasn't particularly used to stand-up comedy in Estonia or generally in the Western world. It's just because one person, it seems a little bit forced, especially when you're not having a conversation with the audience. It can seem pretty forced, and I'm pre-prepared, basically prepared, seems prepared. Because a person is generally just, standing up there, having a story, having a personal, a monologue, delivering. Where I'm going with this. But yeah, recently, I think definitely not more than 10 years from the moment. For the past decade, this Western style single monologue style stand-up comedy has picked up some speed, has been pretty well accepted now in bigger city in China like Shanghai and Beijing and all the major city you can name. And I think this guy, I still don't know his name. I think he's Kamu. Kamu is one of those guys who do this Western style, single monologue style stand up. Not 相声, but stand up comedies. Proper. And it's very eclectic. It's very like expressive with his body language, over the top, very, very screamy, very loud, opinionated, a lot of energy, I guess. It's a style. It's a well-established style in the Western world as well. I know a lot of, stand-up comedy comics do things like that. It's not really my style. I like people who are kind of sad and, not moving so much. That's kind of my style. But yeah, he's popular. He was popular, right? But recently, the video I saw, actually not the video I saw. The video I saw was him performing on a television show. But then on my research on Google, I found out he was arrested because he smoked marijuana, or maybe he wasn't smoking himself, but he was allowing somebody or soliciting somebody to smoke marijuana, smoke weed in his apartment, residence, or yeah. And he got arrested for it. He was sentenced. To jail, punished, fined, canceled, right? He's not on TV anymore. There's a list in China that is published by the governmental official, or a national institution that kind of regulate all the entertainment business in the country. And there's a list of artists, performers, and entertainers, a blacklist, so to speak. Once you've done something that is bad, quote unquote bad, I guess, like smoking weed, like evading taxes, and saying controversial stuff. For example, a while ago, I remember there's this female actress who said that who was exposed for having surrogate mother, using surrogate mother to give birth to his child, and he said that he doesn't want the child anymore because it's troublesome, and he want to give the kids away for adoption, and he feel like this and that, and just very disrespectful towards a newborn, which biologically speaking was her children. Now she's canceled as well. So things like that, smoking weed, using surrogate mother, which is illegal in China, saying controversial stuff like, oh, I hate the Chinese government or whatever. But nobody do that. That's just too obvious. But yeah, once you're on that blacklist, it's really hard for you to, well, really hard is an understatement. It's impossible for you to do any kind of work in China now. You're not going to get any contract. You're not going to show up on TV. No radio station. No public performance. You're left to die in the business. But I don't know if you can get out of the list or not. I think most people don't get out of the list. Once you're on the list, you're on the list. Plus, there are so many entertainers, because entertainment business is big everywhere, not only in China. There's a lot of money to be made. There's a lot of potential for you to get rich from 0 to 100 real quick. People are into it. It's a business, right? And there's so many people in China. People all want to get to that superstar status, with the temptation of money, fame, and all kinds of things. And you're never really lacking talents. A lot of people are talented, and they're trying their best to get into the business. So people are not gonna miss just a few people who get blacklisted. My point being, do I feel that all these people, this practice of a blacklist is it's over the top. It's too much. Like I said, previously, I would say yes. I would say, well, you shouldn't do that. Let them learn. You can't just end somebody's career like that. They work hard. They have talent. Give them a chance. Just because of this one mistake and you're gonna bury them in the dirt. Some people would say, oh, like marijuana is not even a big deal. It's even legal in some other jurisdiction, like in the US, in certain states. I don't care. That's not my point. At least right now, it's not legal in China. So it is illegal. I'm not saying they shouldn't do illegal things. I'm not saying they should do illegal things. It's not about legality. I think it's about if we should give them the chance after they repaid their mistake, after they have been rehabilitated, they have been imprisoned for their mistake. You can put them to jail. I have no problem with it, because you shouldn't do anything illegal. If it's illegal, don't do it. But once you finish a sentence, once you have paid your debt to the society and paid your debt for violating the law, are you supposed to get a second chance? Previously, listen, I haven't thought this through, but this is a process I'm going through. So just hear me out. Previously, I thought yes, you should definitely get a second chance. Why not? Why not? You should always get a second chance, especially if you're the first time doing this kind of stuff. Let them learn, man. They're young, 25, 3 years younger than me. But now my opinion has shifted a little bit. I started to think, why a second chance? Why not? Why not just give them one chance? Not everybody one chance. I mean, it just happened to be you. You get one chance. How about that? A lot of people get one chance. You don't get a second chance, right? I mean, why should you? A lot of people made a mistake of drunk driving and they die on the road, right? I made a mistake of deadlifting with poor form and curved back, and I got herniated disc on my L4 and L5 and on the lumbar disc, on my lumbar vertebrae, and now I'm forever incapacitated. And that's an exaggeration, but I'm dealing with stiff back, lower back. I'm dealing with it every morning. I feel it every morning when I wake up, and it's gotta be there for the rest of my life, right? One mistake, one deadlift, one rounded back, and I'm dealing with it for the rest of my life. I know it's very different from this is physical, and people will say, "Oh, that's social." What's a big difference? It's all part of life. Physical, social, emotional, they are all just a part of life. Don't segregate them. Don't put them into category and say, this is social and that's something we can change. Physical one we can't change. Bullshit. It's all connected. It's a part of life. I don't believe that you don't get a chance on physical conditions. You don't get a chance because you deadlift with poor form, and now you should get a chance just because you kill somebody, and that's because you're a socially constructed criminal. No, it's all the same thing. Why should you get a second chance? And I'm not saying just this opinion or this sentiment, it comes from a place where I think you should make your peace with your decisions. You should. Once you have, let's say you're in Kamu, this stand-up comedian's position, I would make peace with my mistake. It's against the law to smoke weed in China. Even though it might not be in the States, you're not in the state, you're in China, you should obey the law. Otherwise, you go somewhere else to perform, right? You go somewhere else to live where it suits your lifestyle. But since you chose to pursue a career in China, you should abide by the law, right? And once you make that mistake, now you're blacklisted. That's your status quo. That is what you're dealing with. That's what you have to go through. That's a consequence to your action. So what now? Your life is not ended. You don't have to deal with a life-changing consequence. It's life-changing, but is it really life-changing? You still have the possibility to do so many things, and this will be something you will look back and talk about in a positive tone, and that's a choice you can make. Definitely. Imagine you can turn this around by going to become like an organic farmer, and then you actually grow a business and become happier as a person. And then you look back 20 years, 30 years, 40 years from now, living in your countryside houses, like picking out organic grown, fertilized tomatoes from the field, and you rub it with your clothes, and you eat it, and the sweetness and the sourness of the tomato just exploded in your mouth, right? And you look up and you thought about the day that you were in the entertainment business, you were, an up and coming stand-up comic. How would you feel about it? I wouldn't feel too bad about it, to be honest with you. I would feel pretty good because the tomato tastes great. Have you tasted tomato before? The really good ones? The one that were grown with love and attention? It tastes great. I think if Camus were really the man, if he really is a character, this is nothing. This is just one of the things that, like a wrong deadlift. This is one of those things like a wrong turn on the highway. It ended one life. And it's a metaphorical life. It's not the actual life, right? It ended one of your metaphorical life. That is your stand-up comedy career. And now you go do something else. And I'm not saying it's gotta be easy. Nothing is easy, but you know that already. You're famous, one of a kind comedian. I think you should know that. And I believe if you want to do something different, now is the time. But even with all this aside, let's not hypothesize. Let's not say, well, it's an opportunity. It's a call for the change. Let's not go for any of those. Let's just say I don't know what's going to happen to Camus. Maybe he wouldn't recover from this. Maybe he will really just, get depressed. Life would make no sense. He will commit suicide. Or whatever he might do. Life might not look up. That's my point. From here on, after his comedy career ended, he might not find a new solution. He might not find a new outlook on life. That's a possibility. But even, let's put that aside. I'm not going to hypothesize on what might happen to him. And just look at this canceling culture itself. People say that, I saw this one American comic who spoke Chinese, by the way, reacting to this incident where Camus got banned or blacklisted by the Chinese government. He reacted by saying that, I think this is a pretty bad. What did he say? He said there's a lot of wrong association has been made about somebody doing something and being categorized as negative. For example, if somebody smoke weed, he's a bad person. It's this black and white tendency of things, right? This whole black canceling culture is motivated by it. In his opinion, that if you cancel somebody, you're categorizing somebody as a bad influence, as negative, as the black to the white, right? You're categorizing that as negative. Therefore, they shouldn't be presented to the public audience. Otherwise, they're casting a negative kind of influence to the public. He said that, just because you smoke weed, it doesn't necessarily mean you're a bad person. All right? I agree. It doesn't necessarily mean just because you are smoking weed, it doesn't mean you're necessarily a bad person. I totally agree with that statement. But I also notice nowadays people don't like the concept of separating the black from the white. Right? It's something that I also didn't like before. I like to mix things up, I think it's fun to not set boundaries and just look at things as holistic, as connected, and there's no good person and there's no bad person. There's benefit. There's certainly benefit from seeing from that angle, because it promotes some sort of a social understanding, putting yourself in somebody else's shoes and see things from a very deeply personal level, right? If you take an example of when you look at a homeless person, it's so easy to look at the person and say, hey, you're lazy, or you're you're lazy. That's why you don't get a job. When you're physically able, that's why you're homeless. It's easy. It's black and white. On the flip side, you could also go deep into an understanding of personal circumstance. How did he come to today's situation? Talk to him. Understand his background. Maybe he was disowned by his parents when they found out he was doing something, and then he got kicked out of the family since he was 14, and then have been wandering the street of Tokyo since after that. Could be. And from there, you understand why they are what they are now. Why they're homeless, how they become homeless. And once you have that background story, now you appreciate them a little bit more. You wouldn't categorize them. Hopefully, that is a hope, right? Once you understand their background, you wouldn't just attribute their disability to find a place to live as a disability of their personal attributes. You wouldn't do that, hopefully. You would understand that it's a combination of different factors that kind of put him in that life position. And that is fantastic. I have no problem with it. I think that is a welcoming, that is a sensitive, that's a great thing to do. But, I don't necessarily hate the black and white either. I think there is a lot of value in setting the black and white, in setting the boundaries too. A lot of people say they care. I'm just going to continue using the homeless guy example in Tokyo. I don't know why he's in Tokyo, but let's say he's in Tokyo. Okay, this black and white scenario. No, it's not a black and white scenario. Let's say this homeless scenario happened in Tokyo, and there's this guy in his 30s, homeless, totally physically able, no disability, no physical disability visible. And there's this very loving person who is very sensitive to his need, and he's understanding his position, trying to, help out as much as he could, saying I understand you. I support you. You are loved. You're this and you're that. You deserve better. Let me give you a haircut. Let me feed you. Let me even share my place with you so you can have a place to get back to on your feet and, thrive for a better life. I applaud that guy. Because he actually put the money where his mouth is. Is that the expression? Right? But most of us, the new age socialist, far left, most of us, we look at it we show our so-called sympathy. I say so-called because it's just really it is. That's what it is. It's so-called sympathy because you don't do shit for them. You say you understand them. What do? What do you fucking do for these people? Did you give your clothes to them? Did you feed them? Did you go out of your way to do anything substantial for them? People say, oh, there's different kind of people doing different kind of thing. All we have to do is to do our part. What is your part? Posting a post with a hashtag help the homeless on Instagram. That's your fucking part. Yeah? Every year, every month, take a portion of your income and donate it out to an institution that you consider legit to help the homeless. That's your contribution. No. Don't fucking bullshit me. Okay? I was you. I do what you do. I show support. I show this moral support. And I think I thought it was enough. That's my part, right? I'm doing other things I could to contribute. Why do I have to do this? Yeah, you got a point. But at the same time, it doesn't make you better than the guy who doesn't like the homeless straight up. He didn't do something either. He didn't go out of his way to fucking punch the guy in the face or stab him in the stomach, like that guy from American Psycho. What's his name again? Bateman. Yeah, he didn't stab the homeless guy just because he doesn't like him, did he? He didn't do anything against the will of the homeless. He didn't help him out, but he didn't hurt him. He might morally discriminated him. He might, like in his head, said bad stuff about the person, but did he hurt him? No, he didn't. You're no better than the guy who says things black and white. Okay? And you know what? It doesn't. Sometimes like people. Well, I'm not gonna use people. I'm gonna use that the example. This example about this YouTuber, this American comedian who spoke Chinese, who commented on the Kamu incident, the Chinese comedian's incident, and he said, nowadays there's this partisan tendency where people see things black and white. Like either you're Republican or you're Democrats. Either you're religious or you're not. Either you're this or you're that. You have to take a firm stand. And he said that this is a bad tendency. This is a horrible tendency because it's overly simplified. You don't really think. You're not being critical at looking at the issue. Well, let me ask you that. Let me ask you this. What if I have thought things and I have critically thought about stuff, and really religion is my only way? How about that? How about I looked everywhere. I couldn't find the answer. And religion, God, is the only place I can turn to. So now are you making fun of my intellectual capacity? Would you say that, the only reason that you can't find the answer to your life is because you're incapable of doing that? Maybe, but are you being understanding now? You're not. You're judging. Just because I resorted to God, you automatically categorize me as a person who is simple-minded, as a person who sees things in black and white. Doesn't that make you a hypocrite because you're seeing things black and white? You're making this kind of grand association without understanding the person's disposition to begin with? Like, what? Like, what? Seriously? Wow. I mean, I don't get it. Like, what's wrong with having a firm stand? It doesn't automatically say that you're not being reflective. It doesn't necessarily mean you haven't thought things through. It doesn't mean that you cannot think for yourself. It doesn't mean any of that. It just means what it is. I have a firm stand. I prefer not to see things as mixed. I prefer to see things as black and white. It doesn't say any more than that, and it doesn't say any less than that. The process, if you really want to go deep into the person's psyche and understand why he say what he say or why he sees things the way he sees things, For example, why do you think a Democrat is just a hardcore Democrat and how a Republican is just a hardcore Republican Trump supporter? You gotta understand him. Are you giving him the courtesy of knowing his life? Nah, you didn't. Nah, you didn't. What you did is that you stand on your high horse, you sit on your high horse, and then what you did was you categorize him as a backward hillbilly who doesn't know how to sing for himself because he is a hardcore Republican. He doesn't want to see things from the other side. How about this? Just hypothetically, a scenario. This person have seen the other side. He has thought it through. He has read The Capital by Marx. He had done all that. And he couldn't find the answer he was looking for. And the only thing he can resort to is faith. It's this faith to Republican Party, to Trump. It's a symbolic faith. It's something that doesn't really yield positive response or positive outcome, but he accepts it. Do you show any sympathy to this person? Please, show some sympathy. He's a living, breathing human being just like us. He's taking a smidget of air from the environment and he's transforming his life with that smidget of air just like you and me. But he's not. He's not being respected. Just because it's not popular nowadays to say that I am a black and white kind of guy. I don't want things to be all mixed up. I have a negative feeling about, I have a negative feeling about a lot of things. I didn't think religion was a real thing. I didn't think it was even a viable solution to any of the problem. But I'm becoming increasingly religious. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I haven't read through the whole Bible, but I'm doing it. I'm reading a lot of religious script. And you know what? I don't mind to believe in God. If that comes to me, if there's a point where I'm gonna be like, I'm religious now, I'll accept it. I'll accept it. I'll just say things. If I can see things from a point of view where I believe everything is created by God, if I actually believe that and not just say that I believe that, if that day comes to being, man, I'll gladly embrace it. I know when that day comes, I'll be, not blacklisted by any institution. I'll be blacklisted by the far left, which is a very popular, dominant, globalist kind of opinion. But what can I do? I'm simply living my life. And if you call me non-reflective, if you call me backward, if you call me a hillbilly, if you call me a communist, call me whatever you like, right? If I like black and white, I'll do black and white. I don't have to make things up. If I support people getting canceled, people getting only one chance, it doesn't mean I come from a place of ignorance and intolerance. It just means I support people getting canceled. Did I do it with evil intention or good intention? That is hard to judge. Did you ask? You didn't even bother to ask. Seeing a phenomenon and automatically assume it's bad and it's coming out of a bad intention. How godly are you? Huh? It has been 43 minutes, 44 now. I'm going to conclude this. I'm going to go. I have to go somewhere. But let me conclude this by saying this. Another, like a development, hypothetical development of a scenario of our previous hypothesis, previous scenario of the guy, the homeless 30-year-old guy in Tokyo on the street, right? There is this guy. There's the other guy passing by. This guy is a black and white kind of guy. He doesn't like homeless. He doesn't care what other people say about the homeless situation. What he believes is homeless people are lazy. He believes that. You know, he doesn't want to know where they're coming from. He doesn't want to know what had led to your life at that point. But he only believes this one thing: homeless people are lazy. But then he saw this one guy. He saw this one guy just looking up from his corner, begging for a coin, begging for some change. And you know, despite of all the hatred, despite of all the disgust he had, negative connotation that he assigned to homeless people, despite all this judgment that he have casted upon this metaphorical group of member of society, he went up and give this guy $5. I'm not even gonna bother explain. You know, I'm not even gonna go and say, oh, maybe he's conflicted. I don't know. Do I know this guy? I don't. I just made him up in my imagination. He does things. He judge. He live. He give. He sympathize. He's just like you and me. Fucking bullshit. This whole thing about like not being black and white. Let's all be together. Let's not separate. Shut. All right. I don't know where I'm going with this. All right. I'll see you in the next episode. Never off the boat.